So first you need to figure out why you actually need to be motivated in the first place. Like what is your reason for being disciplined? Because you can't just say wake up in the morning and be like, "Oh, I want to be disciplined." For what? Like what reason are you being disciplined for? Do you have a goal you're trying to achieve? Because if you have nothing to motivate you to get somewhere, then why would you even do it in the first place? Let's say, "Oh, I want to go to the gym this year." You go maybe once or twice, or maybe for the first month, and then you stop because you have no motivation to do it. Like you don't have an actual goal. Your mind was, I want to go to the gym this year, and so you just went to the gym and then you left off because you had no actual ultimate goal. If you had an ultimate goal of, okay, this year I want to make sure I grow my glutes to this size, you have a goal there. Or this year I want to make sure I become the healthiest version of myself. That's a goal. Or this year you want to, like, I don't know, increase your heart rate or something similar. Yeah, you need to have an actual goal and a reason to be disciplined, because if you're just being disciplined out of nowhere, like it's not gonna work. You need an actual reason. So after you come up with a plan, oh, also you could either sit down, write down exactly what your goal is. Like maybe on a book, in a journal, on a computer. Just take something and you sit down and write down what you actually want your goal to be. And then after that, you have to come up with a plan. How do you get to this goal? Like breaking it down into smaller, more digestible steps, or things you can do every day to get you to the bigger goal. For example, if you're trying to learn a new language, you can be like, okay, realistically, I don't want to spend, especially if you have a busy schedule, realistically, you do not want to spend 2 hours a day studying a new language. But if you break it down and say, okay, at the end of the day, for 15 minutes every single day, I'm going to practice this language. Your ultimate goal is to learn about the language or to learn how to use the language, how to speak the language. Maybe your goal is for the year, 2 years, whatever, but you have a goal. And so I'm learning this language because I want to connect better with my family who speaks the language. I want to be able to go to the country and speak the language with the locals. You have a reason for learning the language. And so now make it easier for you to learn it by giving yourself a realistic plan, putting it in smaller goals. Because I want to learn this by this time, I'm going to spend this amount of time per day actually doing it or actually studying the language. So come up with a realistic plan on how to get to your goal. If it's a super far fetched goal, find a smaller things you can do. Maybe even break it down into months, like quarters. Maybe the first quarter of the year, second quarter of the year, third and fourth. You can also use ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a great resource to find out how to break down your goals and how to like create. You could even go there and say, okay, this is my goal, ChatGPT, and then it's gonna give you probably like a weekly plan on what you need to get done every week to get to your goal, or even a daily plan on what you need to get done every day to get to your goal. But if you have an actual reason, like an actual reason as to why you want to do something, an actual reason as to why you want to get to a goal, you're gonna get there. But it needs to come from you too. You can't have a goal from the internet. You can't have a goal from friends or from family. It needs to be, what do you want? What do you want to achieve? Why are you being disciplined? Because discipline is actually a form of self-love. Because if you really want something, you're gonna do what it takes to get there. But you have to really have something, like you have to have something you really want in the first place. And it needs to come from you, not somebody else. So you have to think about why. Why do I even need to be a disciplined person in the first place, right? And then you need to give yourself a very realistic timeline. Okay, moving on. Moving on. So you need to give yourself a realistic timeline for your goals. You can't do certain things, like, you know yourself the best. You know how quick you can get things done. You know what's gonna burn you out. So give yourself a realistic timeline of how you want to achieve your goals. Let's say it has to do with education, for example. You know that it takes 2 years to complete a degree, and you know if you're able to do the degree at the regular pace of 2 years, or if you would need longer to complete that degree because you need more time. Because, maybe you have other life obligations, something like that. Give yourself a realistic timeline that's catered to you, not catered to the general public, but catered to you only. So once you find out how long it's going to take you to get something done, considering not burning yourself out, then put that on your goal. Like, okay, if my realistic timeline is, for example, 2 years, I know that year one, this is what has to get done. And in year two, this is what has to get done. You write down what needs to get done that year, and you just go along with that. And to do that, you need to plan things out to a T. Okay, so I have a busy schedule. I'm working full time. I'm also going to school full time. So I really, really need to plan things out. So for me to succeed and get what I want to get done, I have to make sure, like, when my schedule is out for the month, I take that, I put it in like my calendar, like, okay, I have work these days, these days, these days. I can go to the gym these days, and this day. And then I plan the days where I have a little bit more free time. Now that I'm starting this channel, I have like days I planned to film, and there's also days where I'm like, okay, I have to get like everything done today, or I have more tasks than others for certain days. And so you just have to plan that out. Like on Monday, for example, maybe I should even pull out my calendar that I planned for the week. So let me see. So for this week, I have literally every day planned out. I plan out what I'm doing on Monday. I give myself tasks. I have work and then gym, and I have to work on my applications and stuff. So that's my plan for Monday. And then Tuesday, I also have work. Then I have a dentist appointment. I have like every single thing as planned, but I'm making sure that whatever goal I have, I input it into my daily tasks. So if I want to get into a program, I know I have to apply for it, right? And so if I have to apply for it by a certain time, I'll say, okay, this week is a week I work on this application to make sure it's done and to make sure I apply for this by a certain time. So you have to plan your days very well so you're actively doing something to get you to your goal. Plan everything to a T. Have at least like maybe two calendars, like a monthly calendar, a weekly calendar, or if you want just a daily calendar. Have as many calendars as it's necessary for you. Like you know what works best for you. And if you don't, try different things until you find out what works best. But yeah, just try things, find out what works best, and plan things to a T. Like actually, like planning stuff actually changes your life. I used to be like, I would just have things in my mind that I wouldn't just write down. I'd be like, oh, I have to get this done, I have to get this done, I have to get this done. It would just overwhelm me in the end because I'm just thinking, oh, I have so much to get done. I have not gotten them done, and now I don't have time. So if you plan things out, at least you know, okay, I can do this on Monday and this one I can do on Tuesday, this one I can do during the weekend. Because you plan things out, your days don't feel so stressful anymore. So plan things out to a T or as much as you can, really. It's really, really helpful. I use several calendars. I've tried different calendars and I'm trying a new one right now. I think it's called, what's the name of this? X Tiles. I saw it on a YouTube video and I actually like it so far. So yeah, I'm using different calendars to just plan things out. And that's really helped because now I feel like I'm not wasting my days away. And that's another thing. If you're not planning things out, you're gonna end up wasting your day. Plan things out because when I don't have anything planned for the day, I could just go on TikTok and scroll for I don't know how long. Just scrolling online because you don't have anything planned for the day. But if you do have things planned, then yeah, you have something to do. You're like, okay, I'm waking up today. I actually have something to do, so let me get going. The lighting. I'll just continue the video like this because at this point I'm tired. Like, I feel like everything always goes wrong when I have to film something. So, yeah. Anyway, continuing on. The other part is to cut yourself some slack. Like, actually cut yourself some slack. You're just a human being at the end of the day. Like, as much as, yeah, you would plan things, have a productive schedule, and actually follow your schedule, you need to give yourself time to rest. You need to make sure you're not going to burn out from whatever you are creating. And that's what I mean, like planning your days ahead. Because if you are nice to yourself or if you care about yourself, you have to put in days where you're not doing a lot, days where you can rest, or days for fun things, days to go out with your friends. Like, you need to have days that are just for you. And even if you're not able to get everything done in one day, for example, let's say you're not feeling well, that's okay. That's okay. Cut yourself some slack. As long as most days, it's like an 80-20% rule. Let's say 80% of the time, you're on your stuff, you're doing things properly. That's good. But if 20% of the time you can't get things done, that's also okay. You're just you at the end of the day, and you're just a person trying. This is your first life. So do that. Be nicer to yourself and give your time to actually relax. And another thing is sleeping. If you don't sleep well, you're not going to be able to do anything in the first place. Like, you could plan forever, but if you're not sleeping and you're literally so tired all the time, you're not going to get anything done because all you can think about is how tired you are. So get your sleep schedule fixed. And that's something I'm working on right now because my sleep schedule was so bad at some point, I wouldn't sleep well. But I've been sleeping like maybe 7 to 8 hours, sometimes 8.5 hours a night now. And honestly, that is good for you. Like, it makes your mind feel clear. So sleep. Find a way to fix your sleep schedule and sleep better. Yeah, those are actually my tips. I wrote down like bullet points. That's why I keep looking down. But those are my tips on how to stay disciplined, or how to actually be productive and maintain motivation. But the big goal of it all is to have something you actually want to get done and have actual goals. And also, on top of that, the biggest thing is being kind to yourself. Because if you can't get something done right now, that's okay. Make sure that you cut it into smaller pieces, even. Like, cut it into even smaller pieces. You're still going to get it done, you know? I don't know if this was too far from my mouth, but yeah, if you can't give 2 hours to something a day, give 15 minutes and work up from there. Give 15 minutes for it now. Maybe 2 weeks later, you can give 30 minutes. Maybe the week after, you could give an hour. I don't know. Try to work up to things if things are too hard for you at the start. You have to approach things like in a gentle way and in a way that is going to work for you. You can't just start things off super harsh, super strong, and you're going to stick to them like it's no. The biggest thing, just be kind to yourself. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Yeah.